I'm not a Pinterest hater, but the ads have to stop. I feel like my homepage is like 90% ads and it's getting hard to decipher between actual content and advertisements. I thought it'd be fun to walk you guys through a bunch of websites and resources that are like Pinterest but better. Whether you are into art and design, whether you crochet or knit, or are into any kind of fiber or needle arts. Honestly, if you're in any creative field or you're just sick of Pinterest, I got you. The first resource I wanted to share with you guys is called Cosmos. I'd say out of everything I'm going to show you, this is kind of the closest to Pinterest. So you can scroll through images on this discover page, but you can also search stuff. I'm just going to search crochet and we'll see what comes up. I feel like what you find on here is just a lot more interesting than the first things that show up on Pinterest. And they have what's equivalent to like pinning something to a board so you can create, it's called a cluster, same thing. I could say like crochet, and then I can save stuff that I see. You could also search something like color just to get more general inspiration for a color palette for something, or like pattern. Those are some of my favorite things to search on these websites. But yeah, I think this is a really great resource if you're looking for something super similar to Pinterest, but just a little bit more curated. The next resource I want to share with you is called public.work. And this is actually created by Cosmos, but it's all public domain images. And you kind of get, I'm just like scrolling around with my mouse, but you kind of get this like borderless scroll in all directions, which is super cool. But you also can search things on here. So I could search again, crochet, and you can see more historical images in something like Pinterest or Cosmos. You could search pattern. Let's do that again just to compare. This is one of my favorite more recent finds, just because a lot of public domain images are on websites that are kind of unintuitive and like hard to sift through. This interface is really cool. And you can also download them, and if you view it on Cosmos, you can save it to the board we just made if you wanted. Another one of my favorite resources for public domain images, that's basically imagery or like online assets. It can even be like audio or books. I don't know, things like that that were created before copyright laws were a thing. So it's literally public domain. There are so many websites that give you a catalog of public domain images, but RawPixel is like kind of the most clearly laid out to me. It's easy to search through. So if you just go to rawpixel.com, they have this public domain tab. And then if you scroll down right away, you can see they have things sorted by artist. And if you click on them, you can look at those collections. So this one has some really cool patterns and colors. This one has really cool typography. Or if you don't want to look through their sorted library, you can also search something. So let's stick with my pattern search. Super cool images. They also have filters over here, which is nice if you're looking for a specific color or style of something. But yeah, this is just, again, a really great resource if you're looking for more historical references. Yeah, go crazy. If you're into graphic design and you're looking for typography or layout inspiration, it's called Design Everywhere. It's a curated Tumblr blog of publication, branding and identity work, packaging, websites. So you can just scroll on this homepage, and if you open a project, it gives you like the actual source of the entire project. But you can also view their archive, which shows things more like zoomed out at a glance, and it's nice if you're looking for cool graphic design work. I love stuff like this that's curated because you don't have to sift through, again, ads and just bad things. This next one is a little bit tricky to navigate, but I thought I would include it anyway and kind of show you how I use it, but it's called Arena. It's kind of presented similarly to Cosmos as an alternative to Pinterest, but their whole thing is that they don't have an algorithm. So it's not going to feed you like tailored content, kind of like TikTok or even like the Instagram Explore page will show you things that they know you're going to like. This is just like whatever you find or happen to stumble upon. I thought I would show you one of my boards just to show you like the types of stuff you can find on here. So similar to Pinterest with pins and boards, Arena has blocks and channels. So the blocks could be images, they could be links, they could be websites. In this case, this one is an ebook, which is like an entire PDF. So a block can be whatever you want. You can also have just like plain text. This board is just kind of random things that I thought were interesting, but very similar to Pinterest. I would try searching for something you're looking for. So let's say I'm trying to find poster inspiration. If you search posters, you're gonna find a mix of like accounts, links, blocks, channels, and it's gonna be kind of confusing. So if you're starting out, I would recommend searching something and then filtering by channels, which are kind of like boards. If you hover over the channel, it will kind of show you a preview of what images are in there, and it'll give you an idea of if you want to like click into it or not. Let's say this looks interesting to me. You can connect it to a channel of your own, so that kind of be like linking a board inside of a board, if we're talking Pinterest terms. And you can also just save individual blocks. Let's say I wanted to save this for some reason. You can click connect and save it to any of your boards, but also if you click into it, it shows you other boards or channels that this image is in. So if you think like this typography is interesting, this person also saved it to their board called typography. And you can kind of go down a rabbit hole this way. And I find this is like the easiest way to find things without the algorithm. Another example is this ebook I found for 1,000 Japanese knitting and crochet stitches, which is actually really cool if you guys want to look this up. You can see here I saved it to my board called Inspo Shinspo, but another person also saved it. So I'm going to click into that and see. And conveniently, there's another ebook in here about crochet. So like once you find something good, you can kind of find like where the source was and who else saved that, and it makes it a lot easier to find stuff. This resource is especially great for graphic design. I have boards on here related to branding. There's a lot of great typography. It's kind of endless in here. There's photography, there's fashion. It's all just how deep you want to dig into it. This next resource you might not have heard of if you're not a designer, but I thought it would be worth it to include because I use it a lot actually. It's called Fonts in Use. And basically they have this database of different fonts. And let's say I think this font is cool or I'm considering using it in a project. You can see other projects that use that font. So you're seeing the font in use, obviously, hence the name. You can also search, I'm gonna be basic and search Helvetica, but imagine you wanted to use Helvetica in a project and you just wanted to see different ways that people have used it. I think it's really cool just to see the different possibilities of what a typeface can look like in use. You can also search by topic, so this would be like the projects that it's used in. Even if you're not looking for a specific typeface, this is also cool just for design inspiration, so I could again search like poster. And you can just go crazy in here. You could search apparel. Again, go crazy. The next resource I have you could use for design, you could use it for crochet. This website I just call Colors, but there's 2 O's, so pronounce it how you want. I use this all the time for design projects, but I thought it would be helpful to show you a way that you could use it for knit or crochet projects. If you go to colors.co with 2 O's and go to tools, there is this thing called a palette generator. So if you click into that, it just auto-generates a random color palette. And if you were just looking for general color inspiration, you could keep it at this and you can generate new ones by just pushing the space bar. Pretend you're trying to pick out yarn for a project and you're not sure what colors will look good together. There is this Chrome extension called Chroma that I really like. If you are a Chrome user, you can just pin it to the toolbar up here. It basically lets you color pick from anything on your computer screen. So pretend I'm looking for yarn. I see a few colors that I like. I just click the extension and I can color pick. It automatically copies the hex code to your clipboard. You can just go back over here to the color generator and paste the hex code and then lock that. Let's say I want to pick a different color. This is probably ugly, but I'm going to pick this yellow. And maybe one more. And as long as the colors you inserted are locked, if you push the space bar again, it will just auto-generate colors that fit with the colors you inserted. Let's say you only need one extra color, you can just X them out or add more colors easily. But yeah, if for some reason you're trying to find a color like this looks really cool, or pick yarn for a project, those are two really great tools. The Chrome extension and the colors palette generator. This is more for design use, but they also have this palette visualizer, which I recently just discovered. If you wanted to see how a color palette would look in a project, because a lot of times color is presented like this in equal amounts, but when you're using it in a design project or an art piece or something, the amount of red you're using is probably not going to be exactly equal to the amount of yellow or blue that you're using. But yeah, you can easily see if you hit the space bar what certain colors would look like in something like a UI project or icons, looking at color contrast. You can even insert your own colors down here if you wanted to visualize things a lot faster than, I don't know, doing it manually. So yeah, definitely worth checking out this website. They also have a few other tools that are worth looking into. Another color related resource, could be used for whatever, is pigment.shapefactory.co. And this basically just gives you color combinations and their hex codes, but you can filter by the amount of pigment or like saturation the combinations have, also the lighting if you want it cooler or warmer. And if you wanted to only look at color combinations that had blue in them, you can filter by color or whatever you want. But yeah, I've used this a few times. I think it's a great resource, again, just to find combinations quickly, and it also maybe shows you combinations you wouldn't normally think of because there's so many on here. Next, I wanted to share a few typography resources if you're looking for fonts that are free and open source. A lot of times I look for these type of fonts for my videos because fonts can get expensive, and I also don't want any legal action taken against me for using free trials of fonts on something that is not just personal use. So again, could be used for anything, but this website is great, velveteen.fr. But they have a ton of fonts that are free and open source, so scroll through here till your heart's content. I used this a lot when I was in school trying to find free fonts that were not from like defont.com or some bad resource where they're not going to be designed that well. Another great website that has open source fonts is openfoundry.com. If you click explore fonts, you can scroll through these fonts. I would say that these are a lot less crazy than Velveteen if you're looking for just a simple serif or sans serif, but they're still really well designed. And if you just click into the name of it, you can scroll and download. And there's also licensing information if you are going to use it for like commercial use or something, but definitely worth taking a look at if you're looking for an alternative to Google Fonts or something like that. The last web resource I wanted to talk about is Instagram, and not in the sense that you probably think. I hate the explore page. Literally my explore page is just like food and crochet and babies and puppies. And it's kind of like Pinterest where it's just going to show you things you want to see. If you already have accounts that you follow, that you love, and you want to find more artists or whatever the account is like them, one of my favorite tools is this like you might also, oh yeah, suggested for you, or like accounts you might also want to follow. So this artist, Ben Steyer, I love his work. I'm just going to do a quick scroll through because he's crazy. He does these like super intricate, I'd assume they're like paintings, or maybe it's colored pencil. I don't know, it's hard to tell. I don't know exactly what medium he uses, but I really love his work. So let's say I wanted to find other artists like him. They have it on mobile and web, but you just click this similar accounts button. It looks like a person with a plus next to it. And you can click through these and find accounts that are kind of in the same vein as the original one. And you're not going to find the exact same art style, obviously, but I think it's just a really cool way to discover more accounts that you like. I'll do it again with this account. They make insane crochet work that is kind of like freehandy, super crazy, super cool. Just click this button and then you can find a bunch of accounts that are in the same category and that you might not stumble upon on your explore page or something like that. That is all the web resources I have to share with you. Definitely do some digging on your own because there's a lot of like tools within the things I shared that are probably more useful. I just kind of gave you like an overview, but I also asked on my Instagram what you guys use besides Pinterest, which you should follow if you don't already. And a lot of people said like nature. Someone said the woods. So I guess that's true. You don't always need to be overstimulating yourself with visual content in order to create something interesting. Sometimes the exact opposite is helpful, where you completely cut yourself off from anything being fed to you, and that kind of helps you get out of a creative rut sometimes. Resources like Ravelry are great for looking for yarn and patterns and all things fiber related. Another one that I wasn't able to share, that's actually a website because it was down for like service maintenance or whatever, is called the Internet Archive. Huge database of images, books, audio, movies, old stuff, new stuff. I think a lot of really interesting crochet work came out of like the 60s and 70s, so you can go on there and click on the ebooks and you can filter by era, and I found some really cool inspiration and patterns that way. Another one I use a lot for crochet inspiration is online like retailers. Sometimes I just get in a spot where I'm like, do I really want to make another hat, scarf, or sweater? But if you find websites like Essence, Garmatory, larger websites that have a bunch of different brands, and you just search crochet, you can find really cool like accessories, bags, knitwear, and things that might help expand your thinking a little bit. Also, not to be a boomer, but like go to the library. A few months back, I went to my local library and just grabbed a ton of books on crochet, cross stitch, needlepoint, anything, even if it's not specifically the thing you do. Like if I just crochet, I'm not going to limit myself just to crochet books, because some of just the general like needlecraft stuff gives me really cool ideas for color work and color charts and things like that. But I just got a ton of books and just took pictures of them. Obviously you can check them out too, but even if you don't feel like lugging a ton of books home, just go and take pictures. Another thing kind of related is go to thrift stores, antique shops, estate sales, bookstores. I found such cool books at thrift stores. I have a few books I want to show you just as an example, but this is one of my favorite ways to get inspiration for crochet pieces. This is called The Time Life Book of Needlecraft, and I lost the cover to it, but they literally don't make books like they used to. This has like a velvet cover on it. It's amazing. I feel like I'm reading a book aloud in like a kindergarten class. It walks through different types of stitches. It gives you illustrations for patterns. She's a queen. I feel like you just find things you don't normally see. Like, look, how cool are these socks? That one was a great find. Also, this one called The Complete Book of Pillow Stitchery, a needleworker's guide to making over 25 charming pillows with step-by-step instructions for crocheting, embroidery, applique, needlepoint, and much more. This one's by Jill Jarno. Even just the illustrations are cool. They give you patterns, teach you how to quilt. Tons of good stuff in here. Look how cute this little fish pillow is. Are you kidding? Look how amazing this is. It's called Applique Family. Even that one's nice. This one's kind of meme worthy, but I don't know. I feel like you don't see this on Pinterest, you know? This one is called Charted Folk Designs for Cross Stitch Embroidery. I don't know where I got this one, but there's a ton of cool color charts that I have actually considered crocheting, but they're just very ornate, as you can see, and probably would be time consuming, but regardless, it's cool to look at. The last two I just wanted to show you quickly are quilt related. This one's called Nova Scotia Patchwork Patterns. It's by Carter Hauk. But this has like actual templates that you can rip out and cut out and create your own quilts. This one's the Better Homes and Gardens America's Heritage Quilt. This one's awesome, gorgeous. Tons of great stuff in here, and this book was probably under $5. So totally worth it. Those are all the resources I have to share with you. I tried to really rack my brain and think of anything that's ever gotten me out of a creative rut. Honestly, no shade to Pinterest. I feel like it has a time and place. I use it a lot for like interior inspiration and outfit inspiration. So I'm not trying to bash it by any means, but if you are listening, Pinterest, stop flooding everything with so many ads. But there are better ways to find inspiration out there. So I hope you found this video helpful. Happy hunting, happy rabbit holing, if that doesn't sound too weird. If there's any online resources or offline resources that you guys think are helpful, please leave a comment. That's it for this video. I hope you have a great day and I will see you soon. Bye.